This podcast is sponsored by Hempvana, America's #1 hemp pain relief brand. Have you got the kind of pain that stops you? Stops you from traveling, exercising, picking up your kids or your grandchildren? Hempvana Platinum Pain Relief Cream is here to alleviate the pain so that you can get back to doing the things you love. Target stubborn pain right at the source, wherever it is on your body. Hempvana is perfect for sore joints, arthritis, back and shoulder aches, and more. Hempvana Platinum is FDA listed and proudly made in the USA with 4 times the amount of pure hemp seed oil for fast, targeted pain relief. The non-greasy, odor-free Hempvana cuts through pain, giving you fast-acting relief that's high blood pressure safe, backed by a money-back guarantee. Don't let pain stop you. Fight the pain with Hempvana Platinum.
Hempvana, Hempvana, your body will thank you.
Save up to 20% and get free shipping at hempvana.com. That's hempvana.com for up to 20% off, plus free shipping. Hempvana.com.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
A warm-up for the low. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you as we're going to be joined in segment number 2 by one of our good friends as we're going to be chatting it up with Adam Rosenberg. He does such a great job of taking a look at player props and team props. We're going to be talking about some of the ones that he's taking a look at right now. Additionally, there's a team in the American League that he placed a bet on to be able to make the World Series and just did so within the last 48 hours. So we're going to be discussing that. We'll dive in a little bit with the Thursday games with him as well, but going to be a lot more playoff talk, going to be a lot more prop talk, and then in the final segment, going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all. If you do have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of 2 ways we offer those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, name does not matter, so per usual, please do send these into the timeline. Other ways, find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. And then from there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Did not get in any Twitter/X questions today, but everything is powered by EdgeBoost. EdgeBoost is making sure that bettors are able to access their funds whenever and wherever they want. With EdgeBoost, 100% of gambling transactions do get approved. And when you go to edgeboost.bet, put in that promo code of Greg, G-R-E-G. That'll get you a $1 for $1 match on your first deposit up to $25. Now let's take a look back at everything that we did see in baseball on Wednesday. Try to find some trends and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
A rarity for the Milwaukee Brewers as they do not hit very well with men in scoring position, and he falls to the Arizona Diamondbacks by a count of 3-2 as the Brewers go 1 of 12 with men in scoring position. Eric Fetty Wap ends up being the bulk guy in this one, and for the first time in his last 11 appearances, did not give up 3+ runs. He gives up 2 runs in 4 1/3 innings, giving up a home run along the way to Blaze Alexander, his 6th home run of the campaign. Then Geraldo Perdomo off of Nick Mears gets his 15th home run of the campaign. For Mears, gives up a home run in his inning of work. Aaron Ashby, the opener, 2 scoreless innings, and then Easton McGee was able to give you 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. For William Contreras, he was able to go deep off of Juan Burgos, his 16th home run of the season, as Ryan Nelson continues to be really good for the Arizona Diamondbacks. 1 run allowed over the course of 6 innings. You had Burgos give up that home run while getting 2 outs out of the bullpen. Kyle Bacchus, 2 outs out of the bullpen scoreless, and a 5-out save from Andrew Selfrank did not give up any runs along the way. For the Kansas City Royals, they completely land base the Chicago White Sox. This by a count of 12-1 as for the White Sox, there was not much doing off of Ryan Bergert, who gives up a home run in his 6 innings of work, as he does give up a home run to Andrew Benintendi, 15th home run of the campaign. And for Aaron Civale, not much going in terms of anything positive. He gives up 5 runs in 4 2/3 innings, including a bomb of his own, as Salvador Perez takes him deep, 23rd home run of the campaign, as the Royals put up an 8th spot in the 5th inning. And then you'd have Mike Yastrzemski go deep off Tyler Gilbert for his 14th home run of the season. For Gilbert, he got 1 out and he gave up 6 runs, all of which were earned. You had the backup catcher in Corey Lee come in for 2 innings, gave up a run. Mike Vasil, 2 scoreless innings, and for the White Sox, they go 0 of 8 with men in scoring position, as for the Royals, you had Jonathan Bolin, Anel Zerpa, and Daniel Lynch all lend a scoreless inning. So they're now 69 and 65, and they're very much in the hunt with regards to the American League playoff picture. The Rangers are starting to fall out of it, but they're back above 500. 20-3, they take down the LA Angels. Jack Kachanowicz probably should not be on a big league mound right now. 11 runs, 10 of which was earned in 3 1/3 innings, including a trio of bombs. Going deep For the Rangers, you had Jock Peterson get his 7th home run season, and he has been terrible this year. Corey Seager, his 21st home run season. Adolis Garcia's 18th, and then it was Kyle Higashioka. Higgy, can't you see? It's 10 home runs for him this year, as that comes off of Oswald Peraza, the backup third baseman who gave up 8 runs in a third of an inning. It was so bad that they needed to replace him with Nico Cavadas, another position player who did get 5 outs scoreless. Can't even say out of the bullpen. Robert Stevenson gives up a run in an inning. Jose Fermin a scoreless inning. And Andrew Chafin a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. If you're looking for a sign of brightness here for the Angels, Christian Moore did give you more. 4th home run season. That comes off of the starter in Jacob Latz. Latz 4 1/3 innings, allows 2 runs, both of which were earned. Luis Curvello gives up a run in an inning. Jacob Webb 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Our guy from Hortonville, Wisconsin, Caleb Bosley, and Sean Armstrong both lend a scoreless inning. So nice win for the Texas Rangers, who have been one of your best under teams in all baseball. And the Rockies have been a very good road under team because they don't hit it all on the road. 4-0, the Houston Astros able to get the job done. Chase Dollander, a good start, takes a loss. He probably didn't deserve it. 1 run allowed over the course of 6 innings. Nick Anderson allows a home run in his inning of work. Angel Shavidi gives up 2 runs in his inning of work and does allow a home run along the way himself, as Yordan Alvarez, welcome back, 4th home run season. And then you had a home run number 8 of the campaign for Cam Smith, Framber Valdez, who had really been struggling, 4+ runs allowed in each out of his last 4 starts. 7 scoreless innings. Brian King and Brian Abreu, both Bryants, were able to lend a scoreless inning. The Pittsburgh Pirates won a low-scoring slug against the St. Louis Cardinals, this by a count of 2-1, as for the Buccos, Carmen Molodzinski pretty much piggybacked off of Bubba Chandler. Chandler, 4 scoreless innings. Molodzinski gives up 1 run in 3 innings. Isaac Madsen and Dennis Santana both lend a scoreless inning. And for St. Louis, this was a solid start from Sonny Gray. 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, given up in 7 innings of work, as you had Wilson Contreras have a throwing error that costed him, and then Matt Savanson 2 scoreless innings out of the bullpen. But Cardinals, they continue to be dead last in the big leagues in terms of runs per game since the All-Star break, and that was rough. This was also rough for the Philadelphia Phillies, as they just can't seem to win in New York. 6-0, the Mets get the job done, and how about Nolan McLean? He was able to come in, and he was tremendous once again. 8 scoreless innings. From there, Brooks Raley does not go off the Rayleys. He was able to give you a scoreless inning, and Mark Vientos goes deep off of Tanner Banks. 13th home run of the campaign. Banks gives up that home run. 2 runs in total in an inning. You had Daniel Robert and Lou Trevino both on his scoreless inning, and Taijuan Walker, probably lucky they didn't give up more than the 4 runs that he did in 5 innings, as he allows 10 hits in this one, so that was a little bit less than tremendous. For the Blue Jays, things were looking less than tremendous, but they get things on track and they get the job done. This by kind of 9-8 over the Minnesota Twins. As for the Twins, you did have Simeon Woods Richardson get the start, and it was not a good one. 3 2/3 innings. He gives up 5 runs, all of which were earned, and he was taken deep in this one a few times, as Andres Jimenez gets his 7th home run season. Davis Schneider gets his 9th home run of the campaign, and then he would get home run number 10 a little bit later on off of Richardson, and then Genesis Cabrera gives it up to Ty France, more like Win France, his 7th home run of the campaign, as for France, he comes up big in the 8th inning with the team down 2 runs, and he put up a 3 spot in the 8th inning to be able to get the job done, as Thomas Hatch gives up a run in 1 1/3 innings. Cody Funderburk, Cole Sainz, they both lend a scoreless inning, but Cabrera gives up 2 runs over the course of his 3rd of an inning, and Michael Tonkin, 2 outside the bullpen, does allow a run along the way. And for the Minnesota Twins, they had the deep ball working in this one as well. Eric Lauer gives up a pair of bombs to Byron Buxton, 26th and 27th home runs of the season. Brooks Lee is 14th home run of the campaign, and Lauer also gives one up to Luke Keeschel. For Keeschel, his 4th home run of the campaign. For Lauer, 4 home runs allowed, 8 runs, 6 of which were earned in 4 2/3 innings. Bullpen at his back, though. Serenity Dominguez, Justin Brule combined for 2 scoreless innings. Tommy Nance, 1 1/3 innings scoreless, and Jeff Hoffman was able in a scoreless inning of his own. The Seattle Mariners find a way to get the job done by a count of 4-3 against the slammed Diego Padres, as Yu Darvish got slammed, giving up 4 runs in 4 innings, including a home run. Bullpen from there was actually very good. Alec Jacob, Wandy Peralta combined for 2 scoreless innings. David Morgan, Yuki Matsui combined for 2 scoreless innings, as for Seattle, and Eugenio Suarez gets his 42nd home run of the campaign, and he's up to 104 RBI. Brian Wu said woohoo to getting a win, giving up 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings. Gabe Spire not out of the bullpen scoreless. Matt Brash, Edward Pizarro both on his scoreless inning, and Andres Munoz does give up a run in an inning. As for the Padres, they do go 3 of 10 with men in scoring position, but for Seattle, 72 and 62. So they're looking mighty fine out there in the American League, and so is the New York Yankees. We'll talk about this team a little bit later on with our good friend and Adam Rosenberg, but absolutely laying base of the Washington Nationals 11-2 the final. As for Cade Cavalli, 8 runs, 7 of which were earned, and he got 7 outs, and he gave up 4 home runs. You had 2 home runs given up in 1 2/3 innings out of Sinkuzi Ogasara, 3 runs in total allowed. PJ Poulin, Jose Ferrer, Connor Pilkington, Jackson Rowledge from there all into scoreless inning, but way too little, way too late. Good news is Andres Chaparro off of Paul Blackburn gets his first home run of the campaign. As for the Yankees, Max Fried, very solid start here. 1 run allowed in 7 innings. Blackburn gives up that home run in his 2 innings of work. And then for the Yankees, the home run derby. You had Aaron Judge getting his 41st home run of the season. Ryan McMahon his 18th home run of the season. Cody Bellinger his 25th home run of the season. Trent Grisham his 26th home run of the season. Austin Wells hits at Wells for his 18th home run of the season. And Ben Rice, 22nd home run of the campaign. And the Atlanta Braves had themselves a nice high-scoring affair as well. They absolutely take it to the Miami Marlins by a count of 12-1. As for the Atlanta Braves, Rickson Profar goes deep twice with home runs number 11 and 12 of the campaign. Matt Olson, 20th home run season. Ozzie, Albies, 13th home run season. And Michael Harris, 17th home run season. Joey Wentz, another really good start here for the Atlanta Braves. 1 run allowed in 6 2/3 innings. Hunter Stratton from there, 7 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. As for Miami, Ryan Gusto was no me Gusto. 3 home runs allowed, 9 runs in total in 3 2/3 innings. From there, you had Javier Sonja, a position player, have to throw 2 innings. Lots of position players throwing multiple innings on this Wednesday. 2 scoreless. Freddie Tarnock, not too bad out of the bullpen. He gives up 2 runs in 2 1/3 innings, including a home run. And Seth Martinez, he comes in for an inning. He allowed a solo home run along the way as well. And for the Cleveland Guardians, it took 10 innings, but they do find a way to persevere and get the job done against the Tampa Bay Rays. This by a count of 4-3. As for the Tampa Bay Rays, Drew Rasmussen, another nice start. He gives up 2 runs over the course of 6 innings. From there, you did have Edwin Uceta and Garrett Clevenger combined for 2 scoreless innings, but Pete Fairbanks in the 9th inning allows the tying home run that sent this game to extra innings. Going deep for the Cleveland Guardians, it was Nolan Jones getting his 4th home run of the campaign at Slade Sassoni. Another relatively rough one for him. 3 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings, and he allowed a home run of his own to Brandon Lau, who got loud for his 26th home run of the campaign, but the Rays do go 1 of 9 with men in scoring position. Matthew Festa, a scoreless inning. Eric Zabrowski, Nick Henry, a combined 2 scoreless innings, and Cade Smith was able to come in for a scoreless inning. And for the Tampa Bay Rays, you did have Griffin Jacks get Jacks up. He does give up the RBI single to Kyle Manzardo in the 10th inning that decided the game. And for the Boston Red Sox, they were down going into the 9th inning against the Orioles, but they do find a way to persevere and get the job done. 3-2 the final. As for Boston, in this one, you had in the 9th inning, Don Rafaela get his 15th home run season. That was a difference maker. And in the 1st inning, Roman Anthony off of Diedrich Enns, the starter/opener, 7th home run of the campaign for Mr. Enns. Not bad here. 2 2/3 innings, he allows that 1 run, and then Ronesy Contreras as the bulk man. 4 1/3 innings scoreless. Keegan Aiken comes in the 8th and 9th innings, gives up that home run to Rafaela. 2 runs in total over the course of 2 innings. And for the Orioles, not much doing at the plate as Brian Bayo, another relatively solid start. 2 runs, 1 of which was earned, given up in 6 2/3 innings, hurt by a Trevor Story throwing error. Justin Wilson and out of the bullpen, Greg Weissert and Aroldis Chapman. They were both able to give you a scoreless inning as well. The LA Dodgers persevere. They get the job done against the Cincinnati Reds by a count of 5-1. As for the Reds, Nick Lodolo, well, he was on the low, giving up 4 runs over the course of 4 2/3 innings. Yet from there, Brent Suter gave up a home run in his inning of work. Going deep for the LA Dodgers, Michael Conforto, his 10th home run season. The rest of the bullpen was pretty solid. Scott Barlow, a scoreless inning, and Sam Moll, Connor Phillips both give you a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. And lone form of offense here for the Reds, Navali Marte of the Marte Parte, his 11th home run of the campaign that comes off of Shohei Ohtani. Good start here from Ohtani. 5 full innings, 9 strikeouts, 1 solo home run allowed. Good sign for the Dodgers. Jack Dreher, Justin Robelski, Eduardo Enriquez, and Blake Trine, they are all able to end a scoreless inning. And for the Athletics, lots of scoreless innings lent to the Detroit Tigers. How about 7-0? They do get the job done. This was a great start from Luis Morales. 7 strikeouts and 7 scoreless innings. Justin Sterner was able to give you a scoreless inning, and then Brady Basso as well. And for the A's, you had Zach Goloff get his first home run season. That comes off of Casey Mize. For Mize, he gives up 5 runs over the course of 3 1/3 innings. Rafael Montero was not Montero-able. 2 2/3 innings scoreless. Tommy Kahnle, a scoreless inning, and then Drew Summers gives up 2 runs in his inning work. And the San Francisco Giants back-to-back wins over the Chicago Cubs. 12-3 the final, as the Cubs actually did get up by a count of 3-1, as Nico Horner was able to go deep early in this game. For Horner, his 5th home run of the campaign, that comes off of young Carson Weisenhunt, who fills 5 innings, gives up 3 runs, including that homer. And then from there, Tristan Beck and Carson Seymour, a scoreless inning. Yoel Piguero was able to give you 2 scoreless innings as well. And Colin Ray said, boo to giving up a home run to Rafael Devers, 26th home run of the campaign, and Devers busted out in this game. Also goes deep off of Taylor Rogers, his 27th home run season, Eloy Ramos off of the bullpen, his 16th home run season, and Jordan Wicks gives one up to Matt Chapman, his 18th home run of the campaign. For Colin Ray, this was very much a boo, 7 runs, 6 of which were earned, given up in 4 2/3 innings. From there, Rogers gives up 3 runs in 1 1/3 innings. You had Jordan Wicks give up a home run in his inning work, and then Reese McGuire was the man that gave up that other Rafael Devers home run. As he pitched an inning, he's a backup catcher, and he gave up a run, so that was a little bit less than savory. And if you're looking at what we've all gotten the last 7 days in Major League Baseball, it's been an overwhelming run, 53 overs to 39 under, so 57.5% of games going over. Favorites have been really eating, 59 and 37 in the last 7 days on the money line. Last 3 days, a little bit of a different story. Favorites hitting at closer to about 58%, 227 and 165 on the money line. Overs doing very well over the last 3 days, 204 and 170 for the overs, 54.5% hit rate. Overall for the season, though, still an underwhelming season at 51.2%, 977 unders to 933 overs, and for favorites, hitting at 57% overall for the season, 1,128 and 851. So that's where we're all seeing in baseball right now, and that's where we're all getting trend-wise. Coming up next, how about if we do chat with one of our good friends, Adam Rosenberg, who does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. We'll talk about why he's bullish on a certain American League team, take a look at the playoff landscape and the props that he's looking to bet right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the VC Family Podcast.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here at lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VC Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by this man, as we've got Adam Rosenberg aboard, as he does a tremendous job over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network on the baseball front. I know that he does a great job with the Dad's Bet Baseball Podcast as well. He does a great job on so many different fronts, as I know that he is getting set for what is going to be a tremendous football season as well. He does a great job over at Handy Graphs as well. That's very handy for taking a look at a lot of player, a lot of just prop information in general as well. And you're able to follow him on the old Twitter / at Hey Rosenberg. And Adam, it's always great to get you aboard. Thank you.
Yeah, it was good to see you in person, and you gave me some tasty beers about a week. It was Bet Bash last week or two weeks ago. Everything runs in together, but yeah, good to be with you again, Greg.
It's always great to have you aboard, and absolutely, the weeks are certainly running together, and we are now getting close to the end of the regular season in Major League Baseball, and I've been talking about this on the podcast seemingly ever since the All-Star break. It's a big, giant mess what we've got in terms of all these playoff pictures, but just before you jumped on this call, I know you placed a bet on the Yankees to win the American League, so take me through that and a little bit of the rationale, as it has been, in my opinion, a very open season, both in the National League and the American League.
Finalizing it right now, I just did it. I took the Yanks for a little bit to win the AL East. Yanks are hot right now, and they've been hot. 7-3 in their last 10. They have a much higher run differential than Toronto. Obviously, a lot of that came from earlier in the year, but Toronto's 5-5 in their last 10. They've kind of struggled. I mean, a flag for me is that Vlad hamstring injuries, because those are things that don't heal unless don't play. I'm liking the Yanks right now. I was just checking out, what some of the remaining strength of schedules and things were. Like the Yankees have a lot of teams that they're going to be able to just beat up on. They play the White Sox 7 times. They play the Twins 3 times. They play the Orioles 7 times. Whereas Toronto, they have the hardest strength of schedule left in the AL East. They have to play the Brewers 3 times. They will play the Yankees again. They'll play the Red Sox, who are right behind them. They get Tampa Bay 7 times, and Tampa Bay, we've seen, is still kind of oddly running their sweatshop of feistiness, where they don't pay players and they keep them forever. But you know what? I'm back in on this Yankees team as they're getting hot.
Yep, and with the New York Yankees, I do think that it's interesting that they have been just a little bit of an up and down team this far this season, but it does feel like the pitching is starting to come around for them, and I think that that's really the big key, because Giancarlo Stanton has been amazing in this lineup. We all know what Aaron Judge does, so I do have a little bit of fear that he's going to get his superpowers zapped once again in October. I don't know why. That just seems to be his main kryptonite. Like, Superman had kryptonite. Aaron Judge has the month of October. That has been not great, to say the least. But with the New York Yankees, even with that, they still made the World Series last year. And I think the biggest thing that the Yankees have going for them, I don't know if you agree / disagree, is that entire American League right now, there's just no other team I look at and I'm really impressed by, especially not the Detroit Tigers.
So the Detroit Tigers are still, I think, the team, in my opinion, to beat, because the Detroit Tigers are finding new ways to win. But I think what's weird about this season feels like people are watching. They're doing one of two things. They're either not watching the games, they're only watching the box scores, or they have seemed to have forgotten that every team goes through slumps during a 162 game season. The Astros had one. The Phillies had one. The Mets had one. The Brewers are starting to kind of bounce around a little bit, like the luck box that is them starting to catch up on them. This is how a season goes, and you don't want to peak too early. I think this Yankees team has some pitching that's moving along in the right direction. I think that we saw Toronto go super hot for a while and they beat up on some bad teams. But the thing is that there's a lot of discussion about, does anybody want the AL West? Seattle's 3-7 in their last 10, but Houston said, hold our beers because we're going to go 3-7 as well. And then on the NL side, the Mets 5-5 in their last 10. Well, guess what? The Reds also 5-5 in the last 10 for that 6th seed.
Yeah, and the New York Mets, I think, are one of the most interesting teams in all baseball as well, because the Zach Wheeler injury should have provided a little bit of an opening, in my opinion, for them to perhaps get back in that NL East race, but I think that it's too little too late for them. And the pitching that was supposed to come back and fortify the team in Sean Manaea and Frankie Montas, well, that has not happened, especially with Frankie Montas now being in the bullpen. Paul Blackburn is not even with the team anymore. They were banking on him as well. And I still think that the Mets might have a little bit of a case to be made that they might miss the playoffs with just how bad Ryan Helsley's been for them.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the Mets. We talked about this on my pod last week, and I was talking about it with Colby and my partner CJ on this, but the way things are supposed to be has somewhat righted itself at this point. Like the Cubs are kind of putting it all together. The Dodgers, I feel like people are sleeping on the Dodgers, and it's very odd to me. The Mets are still a better team than we've seen over the last 2 months. The series against the Phillies that they're in the middle of was always going to be kind of a scheduled L for the Phillies. They haven't won in New York since Von Hayes played on that team. So it was always going to be that way. There's a lot of very quick trigger sky is falling type of stuff. And if you watch these games and you watch these teams and you watch what the talent level and the ceiling is, these are teams constructed with extremely good players. Juan Soto is one of the top 3 best players in the league. He wasn't going to be quiet all season. Pete Alonso, for most of the season, has led the league in RBIs. I mean, he's in the midst of a slump. He had a 4-hit game. So, the bullpens, people have to figure out their roles. I'm just not worried about it with a lot of these teams. I am approaching, however, how I'm betting them in September a little bit differently. And you alluded to Judge and playoffs, but how you handle betting them September on is different than the rest of the season.
Yep, absolutely. And I want to dive into that as Adam Rosenberg, who does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, is joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And I know you play a lot of different props. I know you've been taking a look at the double plays market. You obviously are going to take a look at a few like total bases. You're going to take a look at some K props, some of the more traditional ones. But what are some of the things that you're looking at now that we have just a few days left in August and we're going to be making the turn to September, where we know this because I know that you play a lot of props, a little bit harder to be able to get a home run in September and October than it is in, say, June and July.
Yeah, that's statistically proven. Backing up a second, I was talking about this as well with Colby. I think that the worst bet this season, betting-wise, not just the unlucky, but just the worst bet to make this season has felt like home runs. And that's not because of how they cash, but it's because of how awful the pricing has been. I'm looking at the board right now, and multiple guys have...
And allow me to cut in here as well. It feels like it's been so top-heavy with the likes of Cal Raleigh, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani. Like, those guys have been cashing, but more of the mid-tier guys, it doesn't feel like there's as many guys this year that'll approach like 25 to 30 home runs. It feels like it's been more all or nothing than I can ever remember.
Absolutely agree. You are better off taking a long shot, like Bryce Turang at 11-1 to hit a home run than you are. Why is Riley Green plus 270 to hit a home run? Some of these prices are awful. Bryce Harper has, I think, 17 home runs, and he's priced as if he's Shohei Ohtani. Like, I love Bryce Harper. I'm a Phillies guy. You know that. But come on. The market has kind of tanked to that, to a point where they're not playable. I do suggest people, I like playing RBIs a lot. I've been playing a lot of batter strikeouts because while it's data proven that players, their curve, what happens is their swings start to shorten in September. And it really takes a nosedive. And that's why you get a lot of these Twitter touts that'll say, I had a bad day and no one hit a home run. Well, I don't know if I'd spray the board with home runs in September, certainly when it's 65 degrees and starts getting cooler. So I've been playing a lot of batter strikeouts. James Wood, free space. Generally speaking, he is a free space for 2Ks at plus money. I have just been hitting those over and over again.
And I think that that's a good way of being able to go about it, because a lot of people, they want to bet on human achievement, but I mean, betting against that typically finds itself to be a little bit more fruitful. Like, you always get the people that are going to be like, oh, you need to avoid this because the player got injured. Well, if you took the under, you wouldn't have to worry about that as well. And I think that that's a big thing in terms of taking a look at player props, because everyone wants the excitement of being able to bet it over, but there's a lot of value in unders, and there's a lot of value in guys having a bad game.
There's way more value. If someone's batting 250, Greg, it means that they are hitting 25% of the time. So that means 75% of the time, what you want to have happen is not happening. Most guys hit 250. And so it is a lot easier to profit off of something not happening than it is to profit off something to happen.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's what a lot of people lose sight of, as we do have Adam Rosenberg. He does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And in terms of props, this can be pitchers, this could be hitters, what have you. Have there been a few guys in general that you've been targeting a little bit more? Because you were talking about James Wood and him striking out quite a bit. Are there a few guys that you've come around on and you've been maybe betting on them in terms of like total bases, in terms of strikeout props? Any guys that have maybe been a little bit mispriced with that regard?
The market is not caught up to Vinny Pasquantino being very, very good over the last month. Have you?
Our guy that? Kobe loves him.
Kobe loves him. He's always a big dumb Italian. He loves it. And we talk about him all the time. He has been absolutely incredible. The last week, Mark Vientos has been incredible. I commented on Bryce Turang. Bryce Turang, because he's at the bottom of the order, has been great, and he doesn't really hit home runs. He has been great. There's a lot of these guys that I've been taking over the last few days that, I try to look for guys that are going to be at some form of plus money. Cody Bellinger has still been good. Bo Bichette. I would say Bo Bichette has been one of those guys that really, dicks out, and George Springer. George Springer is consistently priced wrong, and the guy is the best hitter on this Blue Jays team. He's quietly been having a career year.
Yeah, George Springer has been amazing, and for the Toronto Blue Jays, he has been a big reason why they have been able to do a solid job as well. And I know that we've talked a lot about the American League side of things. How do you take a look at the National League right now? Because you talked about the Milwaukee Brewers. They've had a lot of luck box wins, and I'm a Milwaukee Brewers fan, and I still don't think that this team is going to make necessarily a charge in October. You've got an LA Dodgers team that I think at full force, they might be the best team in all of baseball. Question is, are they going to be at full force? And there's a lot of question mark now that the Philadelphia Phillies are without Zach Wheeler. We talked about the New York Mets and that situation. The Chicago Cubs have lost their offense ever since the All-Star break. It just feels like in the National League right now, things are very, very open. And I know you bet the Yankees in the American League. It feels like in the National League, it's still a little bit more of a wait and see as to which team might be healthier in October.
Still think it's the Phillies or the Dodgers, so I'm still going with chalk here. Phillies from the get-go built this team so that they would be starting pitching heavy. You can't replace Zach Wheeler, and strategically it's very tough when you have the rest of your starters are lefties and you have this other righty. You can't go 3 straight lefties in the playoffs. But they are about to have roster expansion on Monday, and so they'll be able to do a 6-man. Nola's coming into his own a little bit with a low pitch and innings count on the year. So I like that, and the team overall has been hitting really well. The Dodgers, though, who are the oldest team in the league, have all of these studs that are going to be healthy right when they need to be healthy. They're going to do again what they did last year. You can't underestimate how this team is going to consistently be in hitting form because it's 70 degrees in LA. So they're going to be in good shape doing this. I think that the biggest thing for the Phillies was stabilizing that bullpen. They did that with Duran. At the end of the day, they have the deepest starting pitching and their bullpen is turning around. They've got Romano out of that bullpen altogether. I guess he's got some sort of phantom finger injury. And that's great because everybody else has been holding their weight. For me,
Joe Ross has not been as well. Joe Ross has not been.
Joe Ross' story was last year. What he did last year for half the season. He was all right until everything. Still like the Phillies for the NL. I know it's tough without Wheeler. I do think that this team has just that depth within starters, and I do think that they can get creative on how they use them.
And it's going to be a lot of fun to see how they are going to be able to utilize them moving forward. And then in terms of what we've got for Thursday, we've got a relatively small card. Is there anything that you might be targeting, whether that be a few props, maybe there's a team or two that you want to see a little bit more from, a starting pitcher, something like that? Anything that is really jumping out at you for the Thursday board?
Well, I'm seeing right now that Miles Mikolas, who's been absolutely terrible, is still starting. This Pirates team's quietly hitting. Do people notice that? They've lowered their K rates. They've been just absolutely clobbering the ball.
Braxton Ashcraft has been good too.
He has been. I like Braxton Ashcraft. He's been good. We're going to get to see a little bit more of Bubba. It'd be nice if they put up his props, but they never do. But hopefully that'll change. I'm looking at that. Without looking at anything, I'm going to like the Pirates in this game. And then I forgot that the Braves are doing a little bit of a suicide squad with their starting rotation. It's a great spot for Nola against Quantrill, and it's at home. That's the thing about this Phillies team, why you can't get worried. They literally got one series in the place that they cannot win, and then they get to go return home, which is the place where they just dominate. The gods are there to put things together for my Phillies.
And boy, it has been a rough year for Cal Quantrill. And I think it's also fair to say Aaron Nola in 2 starts against the Nationals since coming off the injury list, not necessarily what we wanted to see there. So that could be a good spot for some runs, seeing that total at a 9.5, especially with the way that the Atlanta Braves have actually hit ever since the trade deadline, but they have not pitched to save their lives. But a man that does it all, he's a 5-tool player. That'd be you, Adam. You do such a tremendous job over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, Dad's Bet Baseball, and so much more. So love to get people at home know it's all on tap for you, and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
I am at Hey Rosenberg on everything. You can check out the podcast, Dad's Bet Baseball. That's on 2 days a week. We're going to be moving to talking about football as well. Dad's Bet Baseball and football starts next week. On the SGPN MLB podcast, I also going to be hosting the NFL Prop podcast this fall. The last place is Handygraphs, which is this baseball analytics tool that I love and helped build and love to give out to my friends. And you can find that and, kind of a man about town, and you can find me all over the place. You can usually find me online, or you can just find me in Circa.
Absolutely. And I did find him at Circa about a week and a half ago, so that has very much been documented. And with Adam, he does an amazing job taking a look at this great sport of baseball. So big thanks, Adam, for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. And coming next, it is that time of the podcast. They give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here, lovely Las Vegas, for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Always great to be joined by Adam Rosenberg, who does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast. So work along with the Dad's Bet Baseball Podcast. Always does a great job breaking down this great sport, looking at the prop front, and so much more. So big thanks, Adam, for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Thursday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that, as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at gunit_81, and we're going to be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first, then the American League games. We've got one intra-league game. That'll be the game that we do at the bottom, so that'll keep things nice, clean, and easy. Let's get things started with 901-902 on the card. The Arizona Diamondbacks and throw to face off against the Milwaukee Brewers. Ozeki Tana is on the bump for the Brewers, and Nabel Krismet is on the bump for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks between plus 140 to plus 150 underdogs, minus 160 to minus 172. That number on the crew with a total of 8.5. Over is between minus 110 to a minus 120. Under is between even to minus 110. And gonna be doing what I've done in this entire series, taking a shot on the over for Ozeki Tana. He is doing for quite a bit of regression. Has pitched to a lot of contact this year and doesn't necessarily have the world's greatest command, as he's posting up 6.1 strikeouts to 3.2 walks per 9 innings, a 3.32 ERA compared to a 4.78 fielding dependent, 3 earned runs or fewer allowed in each out of its last 5 starts, despite getting 4 strikeouts or fewer in all but one of them as well. So I am very concerned, especially going up against the Diamondbacks lineup that I recognize that it's not the same lineup as we saw at the beginning part of the season with Eugenio Suarez and Josh Naylor out of the fold, but they're still 5th in the big leagues in terms of runs per game. They still, again, aren't quite that good anymore, but still, Geraldo Perdomo has been able to give you about a 393 on base. You've had Ketel Marte slow down with regards to home run power, but still 23 bombs, 387 on base. You've been able to have Corbin Carroll supply 27 home runs. He's been getting out lately as he was a little bit less than savory coming off the injured list for a few weeks, but I mean, Alec Thomas is out hitting at 250. You've got a lot of guys that move the line. You've had James McCann as a veteran come in, do a solid job at the plate. What has not been solid for the Diamondbacks has been this bullpen, as currently they are 27th in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. You've had Andrew Selfrank be very good in this bullpen. He's been able to supply a sub-2 ERA in a small sample size, so you do like to see that, but then just have so many guys that are rocking an ERA of a 3.95 or greater. Kyle Bacchus, Jalen Beeks, Jake Woodford, Juan Murillo. These guys have been an issue. Now, Nabel Crismet in his last start, it was not a start, it was a bulk appearance. They decided to throw an opener for him, so be mindful of that. He's made 2 appearances thus far with Arizona. 9 innings, has allowed 1 run, but he had 4 walks along the way, and if you go back to his minor league numbers, he was posting up only about 6.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, 3.96 ERA, about 1.3 home runs per 9 innings allowed, and that's to face off against a Milwaukee Brewers team that they are 3rd in the big leagues in terms of runs per game. I recognize that the overall power is not necessarily supreme with this team, as Christian Yelich is the lone healthy player on the roster with above 15 home runs this season, as he's been able to supply 26, but I mean, you just have so many different guys there who will find a way to be able to move the line and get on base. Caleb Durbin's right around about a 325 on base, and then all these guys entered into the day hovering between about a 350 to a 370 on base. Isaac Collins, William Contreras, Sal Frelick, Yelich, Bryce Turang, and in a Brewers uniform, Andrew Vaughn has been amazing. 9 home runs in his first 150 at-bats, over a 370 on base, and for the Brewers, they did have to mix and match quite a bit yesterday because they utilized Eric Fetty as a bulk guy, so that's not necessarily great. You had to utilize as well Aaron Ashby as the opener, but still, you've got Abner Uribe, the now on the injured list, Trevor McGill. That was a little bit unfortunate. That's why they had to throw Eric Fetty yesterday, but Nick Mears, Grant Anderson, these are the guys that are giving you a sub-3 ERA. DL Hall has been a relatively good long guy with a 3.35 ERA, so do think they get some scoring in this game. Semi-total 9.3, like the over for the Brewers. Set their money line price at a minus 186. Pretty much anything of a plus 105 or higher, I was willing to take a shot on the run line. If you're looking at that initial FanDuel opener, which those are always interesting to say the least. Right now you're getting that at plus 125, so taking the Brewers on the run line to go along with the over. 903, 904 on the betting board. The Pittsburgh Pirates walk the plank to St. Louis to face off against the Cardinals as Miles Michaelis goes for the Cards and Braxton Ashcraft hopes to not be a load of Ashcraft for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Right now the Pirates are in between plus 108 to a plus 113 underdogs, minus 120 to minus 132. That number on St. Louis, 8.5 is the total. Over is minus 115 and the under is minus 105, and I did set my total here at 8.3. I'm going to be willing to take a shot on the under for Braxton Ashcraft. He's actually been really good, both coming out of the bullpen and as a starter. He's given up 1 home run in 46 plus innings thus far this season. Probably due him for a little bit of regression there, but whether he be coming out of the bullpen, whether he be a starter, he's done his job. 270 ERA, 8.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, and in his last 3 starts, 2 runs allowed across 13 and a third innings. That's certainly getting the job done, and for Miles Michaelis, this is very much a pitch contact guy. He's got a 5.17 ERA. Feel you pay him more around about a 5.01 with 1.7 home runs allowed per 9 innings, only getting about 5.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. But here's the good news. He gets a face-off against the Pittsburgh Pirates team that is dead sinking last in the big leagues in terms of runs per game. It has been all sorts of putrid for this lineup, as right now you've got 3 guys on the roster with more than 7 home runs this year. Andrew McCutchen, O'Neill Cruz, Brian Reynolds. Now Tommy Pham has made with about a 265, and Spencer Horwitz 260. Isaiah Kiernan-Falefa is able to move the line, but with Cruz, Jared Trollo, Alexander Canario, Henry Davis, you go down the list of guys hitting a 222 or lower. Lovar Piero, these have been guys that just have not gotten the job done. And for the St. Louis Cardinals, you've got Wilson Contreras, who is going to be dealing with a suspension sooner rather than later with regards to some sort of a tirade. That was interesting to say the least, so we shall see what is going to be happening on that front. You still had him in the lineup yesterday, so we will see when he's actually going to be serving lifting that ban, but 19 home runs this far this season for the St. Louis Cardinals. He has been able to lead the way. You've got Alec Burleson hitting at 290. He's been able to give you 16 home runs, and there are guys on this roster that are able to find a way on base. Mason Wynn along with Thomas Segis. These two guys are hitting about a 252, 255, but the young guys just have not stepped up. Pedro Baez, along with Jordan Walker, Victor Scott, and Nolan Gorman. These are all guys hitting at 235 or lower. Lars Nootbaar is hitting at 234, though. He's been able to give you a little bit more in terms of his on-base percentage, so that's been a little bit of a problem for the St. Louis Cardinals. Now, the good news for the Cardinals is that even without Ryan Helsley, this bullpen has been fine, and frankly, they are not missing anything with the way that Ryan Helsley has been pitching for the New York Mets. You've got the likes of Jojo Romero, Riley O'Brien, Kyle Leahy, Matt Savancin. These guys have been able to give you a sub 3.35 ERA, and then on the other end, you've got a Pittsburgh Pirates team that's been solid with their bullpen. You've got two main guys, and Isaac Manson, Dan Santana, give you a sub 3.25 ERA. They had to throw out their Carmen Molodzinski first start yesterday. That's not necessarily a place where you want to be, and Yohan Ramirez, Kyle Nicholas. These guys have not necessarily been impressive, but for the St. Louis Cardinals, do feel like they should be a minus 127 favorite because just don't have any faith in this Pirates lineup, so I'm going to be taking a shot on the 8.5 under and the Cardinals up to a minus 126 on the money line. 9-5, 9-6 on the card. The Giants are playing us to the Chicago Cubs. Shota Imanaga is on the bump for the Cubs, and Logan Webb goes for the Giants. The Giants are between minus 115 to minus 126 favorites. Plus 104 to a plus 109 is that number on the Cubs with a 7 total. The over is minus 120 and the under is even, and did semi-total at a 7.4. I'm going to be in on the over for Shota Imanaga. This guy is just pitching to a little bit more contact than what I'd like. Now, the good news is Imanaga has been able to get a few more strikeouts in his last few starts, so it does feel like the deception is up with him. 3.03 ERA, 4.33 fielding dependent for the season. 7.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, giving up 1.6 home runs per 9 innings. Again, 6+ strikeouts in 4 of his last 5 starts, so has been able to do a nice job of being able to hone in there. 3 runs or fewer allowed in all 5 of those starts, but I do fear that the bottom might fall out on him a little bit. Good news for Shota Imanaga. Gets a face-off against a San Francisco Giants team that's actually last in the National League in terms of run scoring at home. They're only averaging about 3.5 to 3.6 runs per game at home, as Willie Adames is now up to 22 home runs, but over the last 35 days, he's been hitting below the Mendoza line of 200. You've got Jungle Liu sitting at 260, along with Eloy Ramos. Ramos, 15 home runs, close to about a 340 on base. Matt Chapman gives you a 340 on base with 17 home runs, but he's only been able to hit about a 230. They trade away Mikey Stremski at the trade deadline, and a lot of these guys at the bottom, like Tyler Fitzgerald, the entirety of the catcher spot, Luis Matos. You've got a lot of guys in a 235 or lower, but Logan Webb has always been oh so supreme when he has been at home. If you take a look at the career numbers for Logan Webb, he's one of the best home pitchers that you're going to find in all baseball. This dates all the way back to his season debut in 2019. 277 career home ERA. At home, he's giving up about 0.5 home runs per 9 innings. On the road, still solid with about 0.7 to 0.8 home runs per 9 innings, but that ERA goes all the way up to a 3.99. And for Logan Webb, both at home and on the road, he has been pretty solid this year. 9.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, 2 walks allowed per 9, 0.6 home runs allowed per 9, so that 3.13 ERA is actually doing for positivity. 260 fielding dependent, and he gets to go up against a Chicago Cubs lineup that, if you look since the All-Star break, they have been in the bottom 6 in the big leagues in terms of run creation. Now, you still have plenty of guys who are able to find a way to be able to get on base, as Nico Horner continues at above a 280 for this unit. You've had, say, Suzuki, Peter Armstrong be able to give you 27 and 28 home runs apiece. Suzuki's starting to struggle a little bit with his batting average. Crow Armstrong has been in a little bit of a funk recently as well, but Kyle Tucker continues to move the line. 375 on base, 21 home runs. Michael Busch, 340 on base. He's been able to give you 24 home runs. And then Carson Kelly, about a 350 on base. And this Cubs bullpen, while it's not as supreme as it was in like May and June, they still have a lot of guys that have been able to go out there, hold down the fort. They are no longer with Chris Flexen. They DFA'd him, but that said, you've got Drew Pomeranz, Caleb Theobar, Brad Keller, Daniel Palencia, a whole bunch of guys that would be able to give you a sub 250 ERA. They're now calling upon Luke Little a little bit more. We'll see if he's going to be able to make a few appearances. And for the San Francisco Giants, if you look at them overall, they're in the top 3 in terms of bullpen ERA, but that said, you're no longer with Camilo Duvall, Tyler Rogers. Those two guys get traded, and it's been a little bit of a rough ordeal with regards to the injuries with Eric Miller, so that's not savory. You've had a guy in Joey Lucchesi be able to give you some length, but he's up north of a 3.5 ERA. Spencer Bivens has had some issues, but Randy Rodriguez has been rock solid. Do think that Logan Webb is a better pitcher here. I did set the Giants on the money line at a minus 116 15. Right now I'm seeing that minus 115. Wouldn't want to go any further, but want to lay the Giants money line in. Maybe by total 7.4, so at the 7, I'm also in on the over. 907, 908 on the card. The Philadelphia Phillies play LC Atlanta Braves. Cal Quantrill is on the bump for the Bravos, and Aaron Nola looks to be super for the Phillies. The Phillies are in between minus 190, and I'm seeing as high as a minus 249 out there as well. That has to be a typo. Mostly seeing minus 190 to minus 210. Anywhere in the neighborhood of plus 170 to plus 175. That number on the Atlanta Braves, and total on this game is 9.5. Under is minus 115, and the over is minus 105. And I did set my money line price at a minus 196 on the Philadelphia Phillies. If you're looking at that old initial FanDuel opener with regards to laying a run half with the Philadelphia Phillies, you're finding that at a minus 104, and that'd be about the max I'm willing to lay. I set mine at a minus 105, so I'm very much in line with that. I'd be willing to take a shot on Nola on the run line. Now, I recognize that this has been a no good, very bad, terrible year for Aaron Nola, but this has also been a no good, very bad, terrible year for Cal Quantrill as well, as this is team number 2 for Mr. Cal Quantrill. His debut with the Atlanta Braves, I'm not going to call it terrible, but it wasn't amazing. 3 runs allowed in 4 2/3 innings, and that's a lot of what he's been doing this year. Overall for the season, 5.51 ERA, 4.73 fielding dependent. Not a strikeout guy, 6.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, allowing 1.4 home runs, about 2.8 walks per 9 innings, so he's going to give you a ho-hum start, and he's backed up by a pretty ho-hum bullpen. As for Dylan Lee, along with Desbel Hernandez and Pierce Johnson, they've been able to give you sub 3.25 ERA in this Atlanta Braves bullpen. Raciel Iglesias has been a little bit better recently, but he's had his issues. The Dodd father, Dylan Dodd, has been up and down all season long, and with this Atlanta Braves lineup, they've really come to life. They're actually in the top 6 in terms of run scoring ever since the All-Star break. Marcell Ozuna, Matt Olson have been able to give you 20 home runs apiece, both right around in 360 on base, albeit Ozuna's only hitting a 229. Austin Riley being on the injured list has hurt this team, but Michael Harris, 17 home runs, now hitting a 250, draws no walks whatsoever. He's got a 273 on base, but he's out hitting the home runs. Ozzy Albies is up to 13 bombs, so that's been a big reason why this team has turned things around a little bit at the plate. Harris and Albies have had some rough seasons, but have been playing much better recently. And then the entire of the catcher spot, Drake Baldwin and Sean Murphy, between the two of them, a combined 30 home runs. Baldwin about a 350 on base. Murphy's hitting at 207, so that's been an issue. And Nick Allen hitting at 220 with 0 home runs. That's just flat out unacceptable, especially without going up against a Philadelphia Phillies lineup then is in the top 7 in terms of run scoring at home with over 5 runs per game in Philadelphia. Kyle Schwarber has been incredible, 370 on base, 45 home runs, and then Bryce Harper has been able to give some nice offense along the way as well, 21 bombs. He's up to about a 360 on base. Outside that, the power ball has not necessarily been there for a lot of these guys, but you do have guys who are able to find a way to move the line, get on base. Alec Bohm is sitting at 285. Trey Turner is sitting darn near 300. JT Realmuto is sitting at 275. And Kumon de Sosa has been able to hit about a 270, and for the Philadelphia Phillies, this has been a bullpen that has been less than tremendous in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA, but Yohan Duran has been absolutely sensational all season long. He's given up a few runs here with the Phillies, but still a massive upgrade compared to what they had before. And then Matt Strom, Tanner Banks, Orion Kerkering, these guys have been able to give you a sub 325 ERA. Now when you're trusting in guys like Jordan Romano and Joe Ross, that has been a big giant issue for the team, and Aaron Nola has been an issue as well. For Aaron Nola, he's still getting 9.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, 6.52 ERA. Now, if you look at the fielding independent numbers, he should be doing for a little bit of positivity here, but it's not even like those are amazing. At a 4.89 fielding independent, giving up 2 home runs per 9 innings. He, in his last start against the Washington Nationals, looked a little bit better, but still, he's made 2 starts since coming off the injury list. Both were against the Nationals, 9 runs, 8 of which were earned, given up there. So I do think that you're going to get yourself a high scoring affair. I did so by total of 9.6. I like the over, but that said, with the Phillies, I think that they get to Quantrill and company. Want to lay up to a minus 105 on that run line. 9-9, 9-10 on the betting board. The Miami Marlins are on the road against the New York Mets. Clay Holmes goes for the Mets, and it is all to be determined. On the bump for the Miami Marlins, this game is currently off the board. Now, the initial CBS projection was Adam Mazier going for the Miami Marlins. I don't know if they are going to be actually throwing him out there, as this guy was absolutely brutal last year when he got the start, and there was question mark as to whether or not he was actually going to be making the start for their AAA affiliate. So I'm pretty much qualifying this as a bullpen game for the Miami Marlins. It's some sort of a bullpen game / young gun comes up to the big league level. Set the Mets to where I'm willing to lay up to minus 220 on the money line. I'd be looking at the run line at a minus 113 or less, plus 222. looking at the Marlins, and then somebody told it at 8.8, 8.5 or less, looking at the over a 9 or higher to the under. If you actually do get Adam Mazur, like this guy has been absolutely terrible. A true bullpen game is actually a little bit better for the Miami Marlins. You do have some guys that are able to give you multiple innings. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Valentin Beloso is contributing in this one. Beloso has been trying to not pitch like a bozo. He's down to about a 4 ERA. When he was starting, he was just an absolute failure. Coming out of the bullpen has not been too bad, but he only gets about 6 strikeouts per 9 innings, 4.19, fielding dependent. Like Bakar, someone that's able to give you multiple innings. He's been able to give you sub 350 ERA. Kate Gibson, guys like this have been relatively solid, but I mean, these are guys that mostly give you like 2 or so innings, so you would need a true piecemeal games there, and if not, man, that's going to be relatively rough. And then when it comes to the New York Mets, obviously this has been a bullpen that has not been great. Ryan Helsley has been a complete disaster for the team. Gregory Soto has yet to really poop the bed for this team. He, along Tyler Rogers, both posting up a sub 2 ERA since they got to New York, but Gregory Soto at some point is going to poop the bed for you, I guarantee you that. And then Justin Hageman, when they've thrown him out of the bullpen, he's been able to give you like a 3.25 ERA. Brooks Raley, Edwin Diaz, these guys have been relatively solid. And for the Mets, you do have a little bit of a top-heavy lineup, though Mark Vientos has hit much better here over the last few weeks. Overall for the season, still only hitting in that neighborhood about a 245, but he's up to 15 home runs now. The catcher spot has been rough with Luis Torrens, Francisco Alvarez deal with injuries, and they've been throwing a lot of Torrens out there, 282 on base. Tyrone Taylor has been a nothing burger at the plate, but he's very good with his glove. But you've got the quartet of guys at the top with at least 20 home runs. Brandon Nimmo, 325 on base with 20 bombs. Francisco Lindor, 25 home runs, 333 on base. Pete Alonso, 29 home runs, 345 on base. And then Juan Soto, 390 on base with 32 home runs. So these guys are able to mash. And for the Miami Marlins, part of the issue that you've got with this team, as well as the fact that your top hitter, Kyle Sowers, who's been able to give you about a 370 on base, he's up to 25 home runs. He's been on the injured list. So that's an issue. And that means that you've got one guy on the roster with over 11 home runs this year, Augustin Ramirez, who he's only hitting at 228 with a 287 on base to go with his 18 home runs. You've had Otto Lopez supply 11 bombs, and you've got guys who are able to find a way to get on base. Liam Hicks, 355 on base. I like what I've seen in a small sample size. And Alberto Hernandez, he's been able to about a 270. Xavier Edwards at the top, 345 on base. No power whatsoever, but he finds a way to move the line. And for Clay Holmes, he has been a little bit of a pitcher contact guy. Now for Clay Holmes, what he has been very good at is inducing soft contact. He's giving up less than a home run per 9 innings, but sooner or later, I do think that the bottom is going to fall out. 360 ERA, 409 fielding dependent with 3.6 walks, 7.1 home runs allowed per 9 innings. So 8.5 or less, looking at the over 9 or higher to the under, with the Mets willing to go up to a minus 113 on that run line, essentially thinking that this is going to be a bullpen game for the Marlins, plus 222 or better is what I would need to be able to take a shot there. 9-11, 9-12 on the card. The Boston Red Sox are on the road against the Baltimore Orioles. Cade Povich is on the bump for the Orioles, and Garrett Crochet goes for the Red Sox. And Red Sox are a pretty good size favorite of between minus 160 to a minus 170. Between plus 138 to a plus 150, that number on Baltimore, with 8 being the total. The over is minus 115, and the under is minus 105. If you're looking at that old initial opener on the run line, that is a minus 110 on the Red Sox, and I'd be willing to lay it. I'd be willing to go up to a minus 115 on this Red Sox run line for Garrett Crochet. He has been absolutely masterful, and he's starting to claw his way back into the Cy Young conversation, with him going obviously mano a mano with Tariq Skubal for that award, and for Garrett Crochet, rightfully so. 238 ERA. Strikeout stuff has been great. 11.2 strikeouts and 2.3 walks per 9 innings, allowing 0.8 home runs per 9. He has given up 200 runs or fewer in 4 of his last 5 starts. 8 plus strikeouts in 4 of his last 5 starts. You can't do a whole heck of a lot more than that. Now, he does go up against a Baltimore Orioles lineup that has been a whole heck of a lot better at home rather than on the road. For the Orioles right now, they are actually dead sinking last in the American League in terms of runs per game away from home. 3.7 runs per game away from home, compared to about 4.9 runs per game at home. But for the Orioles, they're also dealing with a lot of injuries right now, as Adley Rutschman had to hit the injured list, so that was a little bit less than amazing. And the big issue for them is Jordan Westburg being on the injured list, hitting above a 270, 15 home runs. He had been doing a really solid job for this team. Now, they've got a few mix and match guys that they're starting to be able to rely upon. Samuel Basallo is going to get a big giant deal. Dylan Beavers has come up to the big league level, and he's been able to hit for some average already. And then you've got Jackson Holliday, who's been one of the main constants along Gunnar Henderson. Both of these guys between 15 and 16 home runs, with Holliday hitting closer about a 245, Henderson in that neighborhood of a 280, but I mean, Kobe Mayo's been a nothing burger. Dylan Carlson has been an issue. Colton Cowser hasn't necessarily given you too much, so that's an issue. And for the Baltimore Orioles, bottom 7 team in terms of bullpen ERA, got a lot of guys that are posting up an ERA that is well above a 4. 3.54 ERA for Rico Garcia. He hasn't been too bad, but I mean, Corbin Martin, Grant Wolfram, Yenir Cano, Yarmir Hidalgo, these guys have not been amazing. They had to throw Diedrich Enns for an open yesterday, so that's not necessarily a place where you want to be. And for the Boston Red Sox, this team continues to be in the top 5 in terms of bullpen ERA. I mean, Jordan Hicks has not necessarily been savory overall for the season, but hasn't looked too bad in a Red Sox uniform. Aroldis Chapman has been pretty much the best closer in all baseball this far this season. He has been amazing. I mean, that's vintage Aroldis Chapman that you're seeing right there. And then you've got the likes of Justin Wilson, Greg Weiser, Brendan Bernardino, Chris Murphy, all give you a 3.10 ERA or better for the Red Sox. So you don't necessarily have that fearsome bat in the lineup, especially with Weiler Abreu being on the injury list, but just have a lot of guys in general hitting in that neighborhood of, we're going to call it about a 245 to 260. Trevor Story, Carlos Cervantes, Cedon Rafaela, Jaron Duran, these guys have all been solid. And Story, he's got 21 chapters in his home run book, 21 bombs, 306 on base, so that has been nice. He and Jaron Duran both give you 21 plus stolen bases. Rafaela's up to 19 stolen bags, so this team is doing a good job playing some small ball to become a top 7 team in terms of runs per game. And for Cade Povich, it just has not been a good year for him. And for Cade Povich, he's got really strange splits in which he has been a whole heck of a lot worse when he's been in Baltimore rather than on the road this season. For Povich, a 5.13 ERA, he's allowing 1.4 home runs per 9 innings. The 9.9 strikeouts per 9 innings are very nice, but doesn't do you a whole heck of a lot of good when you're giving up 3+ runs in 3 out of your last 4 starts. And for Mr. Cade Povich, when he's been on the road this season, a 3.86 ERA, he's giving up only about 0.8 home runs per 9 innings on the road. At home, about 1.95 home runs allowed per 9 innings with a 6.22 ERA. So do think that the Red Sox could get to him here. Somebody told it at 8.3, so like that over. And the Red Sox up to a minus 115 on that run line. 913, 914 on the betting board. The New York Yankees are on the road. They're facing off against the Chicago White Sox. Davis Martin is on the bump for the Southsiders, and it is Will Warren on the bump for the Yankees. Right now, I'm not seeing any initial openers on this game, but I've got my handicap. Set the Yankees at a minus 182, so I'd be willing to go up to about a minus 116 with regards to their run line. Plus 183 or better, we'll be looking at the White Sox, and then made a total of an 8.3. So I'm looking at an 8 or less to the over, 8.5 higher to the under. I recognize that Will Warren has had a little bit of a less than savory season if you look at the ERA, and I can't necessarily say that I'm some sort of a Will Warren stan here. I've faded him quite a bit. 4.47 ERA, but if you look at the advanced numbers, he should be doing for his positivity. 378 fielding dependent. The 4 walks per 9 innings are an issue, but he's getting 10 strikeouts to 1 home run per 9 innings. So that's actually a good sign. He has given up a combined 8 runs, 6 of which have been earned in his last 2 starts. And the White Sox have been a little bit better recently with their lineup, but let's call it what it is. This is not some sort of White Sox lineup that is going to strike fear in you. They're in the bottom 5 of the big leagues in terms of runs per game. Lennon Sosa is actually hitting for 17 home runs and hitting at 270. That's been solid. Mike Tauchman has been able to give 350 on base, and then the catcher spot has been great. Mike Teal, Edgar Quiero, both of these guys hitting above a 270, but then you've got the Joshua Rojas, Joshua Palacios, Michael A. Taylor, Vinny Capra, the mix and match guys at the bottom of the lineup that have not been able to give you too much. You've got Miguel Vargas, Andrew Benintendi, Colson Montgomery, along with Luis Rivera, all between about 13 to 14 home runs, all hitting at 235 or less. And for the White Sox, the long guys out of the bullpen have been solid. The short guys have not necessarily been amazing, as you've had the likes of Grant Taylor, Jordan Leisure, Brandon Eisert all post up over a 4 ERA, but Tyler Gilbert, Mike Vasil, Tyler Alexander, these guys are giving you below a 3.55 ERA. And for Davis Martin, he does a good job in terms of pitching to quite a bit of contact. As for Davis Martin, he's getting only about 6 strikeouts per 9 innings, a 3.93 ERA. He does a nice job in terms of not giving out a lot of free passes or hurting himself, as he's right now giving up 2.8 walks per 9 innings, but 1.4 home runs per 9 innings, 476 fielding dependent. Not necessarily what you want when you're facing off against a New York Yankees team that they've got all sorts of power. Yankees, one of the top teams in all baseball in terms of home runs on a per at-bat basis. We saw what they were able to do yesterday to the Washington Nationals, and Giancarlo Stanton is right now getting a home run every about 9.5 at-bats. It's absolutely incredible, hitting for a 300, so he's been great. Obviously, Aaron Judge has been judge, jury, and executioner, 41 bombs, about a 440 on base. Can this lineup be a little bit all or nothing? Yes, but you've also got a tray of guys in Jazz Chisholm, Trent Grisham, Cody Bellinger, all between 25 and 26 home runs. All 3 of these guys have been able to give you, at the very minimum, a 330 on base as well. Anthony Volpe has been an issue, hitting a 204. The 18 home runs are nice, but he's hitting a 204. And then Austin Wells, again, 18 home runs, but he's hitting at 206. So you need a little bit more there, but I do think that for the Yankees, they do a nice job of getting Davis Martin. I think that Will Warren's been a relatively good start here. So I did set my money line price at a minus 182, need at least plus 183 to take a shot on the White Sox. Minus 117 or better looking at the Yankees, and then 8 or less I'm in on the over, 8.5 or higher or the under, and we're wrap things up with 9:15, 9:16 on the card. The Colorado Rockies are on the road against the Houston Astros. Jason Alexander, no relation to George Costanza, is on the bump for Houston, and Kyle Freeland goes for Colorado. 9 is the total. Under is between minus 110 to a minus 115. Over is between minus 105 to a minus 110. Plus 192 to a plus $2 price is your number on the Colorado Rockies. And between minus 220 to a minus 235 is that number on the Astros. And that initial opener that I'm seeing is minus 111 on the run line with the Astros. And sign me up there. I was willing to go up to a minus 118 on the run line. I recognize that Jason Alexander is not going to be winning any sort of pitching awards anytime soon, but he's been serviceable for the Astros. The overall season numbers are a 4.59 ERA, but with the Astros, he's been posting up a 2.72 ERA. His numbers are very much warped by the 3 appearances they had with the Athletics, where when you're pitching in Sacramento, it's like pitching on the moon. Now with Jason Alexander, is he going to get a lot of strikeouts? No. 7 strikeouts per 9 innings, but allowing less than a home run per 9 innings. He's been pretty solid there, and if you take a look at his last 5 appearances, he has given up a combined 6 runs, so he's been able to do a solid job there, and 6+ strikeouts in 3 of his last 5 starts as well. Gets to go up against the Colorado Rockies team that is currently dead last in the big leagues in terms of runs per game away from home, on-base percentage away from home as well. Hunter Goodman has been great. Hunter Goodman has been able to supply this team with 26 home runs. He's hitting at 275, and 16 of those home runs have actually come away from home, so yay, verily there. He's like the only guy on the Colorado Rockies, so that has been a bit on the road, though, because you've got a lot of your guys that are good constants for the team when they're at home, just completely toilet bowl when they're away from home, as you've had the likes of Mickey Moniak, Jordan Beck, along with Ezekiel Tovar, Orlando Arcia, Warming Venable has been dealing with a little bit of injury, Michael Chiglia, Brenton Doyle. All these guys are at 217 or lower away from home with 7 home runs or fewer on the road, and the Rockies are currently 29th in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. Jimmy Erga, Victor Vonik have been able to give you a sub-345 ERA, and Juan Mejia has been able to give you closer to about a 4 ERA, but then you got a lot of issues after that. Anel Shavili, Nick Anderson, the currently injured Zach Ognos, Anthony Molina, a whole bunch of guys are rocking an ERA above a 5, and for the Houston Astros, this is still a top 10 team in terms of bullpen ERA. Recognize that they've been dealing with the injury to Josh Hader, but you still have quite a few guys who are able to go out there and hold down the fort. Bennett Sosa, it looks like it's going to be hitting the injured list as well, so have to keep note of that. But the Bryans, Brian King, Brian Abreu, along with Steven Okert, these guys have been able to give you a sub-325 ERA. And for the Houston Astros, I do think that they get to Kyle Freeland here with just having a pretty balanced lineup in general. Jose Altuve, 22 home runs, hitting about a 275. Jeremy Pena continues at above a 300. Christian Walker, Yanier Diaz, not really getting on base. Both of these guys a 302 on base or less, but Diaz is hitting at 257 with 18 home runs. Walker's up to 19 bombs. Victor Carantini, 320 on base with 11 home runs. And for Kyle Freeland, if you look at the fielding dependent numbers, he should be doing for a little bit of positivity, but he just doesn't fool anyone. A 5.31 ERA compared to a 4.47 fielding dependent, just 6.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. Doesn't really hurt himself with the 2.4 walks per 9 innings, but has allowed 1.3 home runs per 9 innings as well. He has given up a combined 13 runs over the course of his last 4 starts, and with Kyle Freeland, he is a guy that he struggles, in my opinion, both at home and on the road. You look at what he's done on the road this year, it's been a little bit better, but 4.56 ERA, and he's given up about 1.4 to 1.5 home runs away from home, so do think that the Astros take it to him. Did some I told it at 8.3. I don't think that the Rockies do their part with this total, so in on the under and the Astros on the run line, and that'll wrap things up for the Thursday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. A big thanks to one of our main men, as Adam Rosenberg does a great job over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He joined me in last segment. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have 1 or 2 ways to be able for those in. First one is by Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters EM, naming does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it is very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review, and I'm coming at you guys every single day throughout the regular season into the postseason on this podcast, so I will be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.